Danny Wilson there, fairly honest in his assessment of the game, Sean, but you look back at those highlights, that is a game the Blues could and perhaps should have won.
Yeah, look, there was some indifferent officiating going on the night that Martyn will come on to now, but they had enough chances and created enough pressure to win the game, and I think Danny Wilson will be saying to his players this week, look, you know, we have to control what we can control in these big games.
It's a difficult job officiating and things didn't go their way last night.
The Blues blew some chances in the 22, but here Jamie Heaslip is completely off his feet, not supporting his own body weight. For me, that's a stonewall penalty in a crucial area of the field. Arguably as well, Lloyd Williams taps the arm of the Leinster player and that could have been play on, so a difficult one. In comes Anscombe and this typifies the confidence and like Matt Sherratt is instilling in the Blues at the moment. Turnover ball, counter-attack ball, he shows a clean pair of heels, real gas, and they were on fire at that point.
Yeah, absolutely, and but all the best to Sam Warburton. Fingers crossed he won't be out for too long. But if he is out for any lengthy period, Sean, the autumn international is on the horizon. That does create a bit of a vacancy.
Yeah, it does, and he hasn't played a lot of game time, Sam, since the summer, has he? But, you know, there are a lot of good sevens in Wales. James Davis down at the Scarlets. Navidi plays well there. Ellis Jenkins has been selected. And I suppose the incumbent is Justin Tipuric, who's really on form after his long-term injury. So plenty of options.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I made a statement last week about the recipe of going to Ireland. And that first 30 minutes is so important in the disciplines of the game, the nuts and bolts of the game. And they had that not just in attack, but in the danger areas in their own 22 as well. So I've picked out some examples. In their own 22, they needed to be clinical early on. You see, this is good ball. Watch how Tipuric deals with Rory Best, because he's a massive threat over the ball. There's in a danger area early in the game. There's a good carry where he falls out, so the present is excellent. And then they use the left foot of fullback Daniel Evans. Nice and clean. As for a coach, it gets you out of that danger territory. They did their homework. They found the spaces. This is off a scrum. Eli Walker coming from behind the scrum. It's an old Ospreys play they execute really well, and they cause them problems. And not just in first phase, you know, they built phases and looked in a lot more shape than they did against Leinster last week. A good carry from Matavesi. They're organised with their numbers around the corner, and then Daniel Biggar played really flat, I thought, on the night, and was much better. He's getting into his game, and Jared Payne coming back for his first game after a while got caught out a few times, and they did cause them problems, you know, particularly in that first half, Ross.
Yeah. Discipline was another issue again, though, Sean, and we talked about this again in the wake of the defeat to Leinster. Ospreys giving away needless penalties. I think the penalty count last night was 12-5. Ospreys gave away 12 penalties, and some of them, including that last one, obviously critical.
Yeah, look, the Ospreys always have taken the breakdown area to the edge, you know. It's been in their mantra for a long while, even particularly with Steve as coach, you know. He was a player like that. But it stands you in good stead away from home, but you live by the sword and you die by the sword. And they were on the wrong side of the referee, albeit a Welsh referee, a few times you know, in that game. And it cost them in the end, yeah, because it manifested in the real important one. But the centre pairing need to be really careful. Matavesi and Ben John working together. That's a silly penalty. You could have given 2 penalties there. Again, you see now they're working in tandem, yes, but they don't roll away, they don't get away, and it's an easy penalty. And look at the field position. This one, it's too high in Matavesi. That's an easy 3 points for Paddy Jackson. But it manifests itself. You look at where the areas are in this one. Now, Ollie Cracknell had come off the bench. All right, it's very smart by the Ulster players because they cage him in and they don't let him roll away. But that is a cast iron penalty, and you look at Alan Wynne-Jones, hands on head, and he realises that after all that defending, one silly moment costs you the game.
Absolutely. Where does the proud son of Aberavon, former Aberavon player, Sean Holly. I think the shorts are a bit tighter in your day, though, Sean.
Yeah, they were, actually, yeah. Yeah, they're doing really well, though, Ross. The club is buzzing at the moment, and a lot is down to Jason Hyatt, and Lyndon Lewis is their coach, and some great rugby being played, and off the field as well. Andrew John has done a fantastic amount of work off the field. Title
contenders then? Got to be.
Definitely. They're showing that sign at the moment, and it doesn't show like any relenting either, because the brand of rugby they're playing might be different when it gets sticky in midwinter, but we'll see.
Excellent stuff. Thanks for that, Sean. So the Scarlets up to 7th now with that victory there, 2nd in a row. And given how the Dragons struggled in Treviso last week, Sean, should that be a cause for optimism?
Absolutely. I think the week before should be, even though it was a scruffy win against Connacht. 2 wins like that now build some momentum. You know, they've got the Dragons next week, who struggled out in Treviso, so they could all of a sudden start to kickstart into the season. And confidence plays a huge part of momentum in this season, which is a long one. So it's a good win.
Explain this. The WRU, Sean, have said they're not going to enter a bidding war with these rich English clubs who are waving checkbooks under his nose. But how desperately do they need to get together with the Scarlets and hold on to him? He's a superstar, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's a great player. He's a great bloke. you know, and he's come up the right way and always plays very, very well. It's very important that we keep players in Wales now. I mean, it's not like we have a lot of really good international players that we're allowed to sign or can afford to sign. So having our own players that have played in Wales not leaving is very, very important, I think. We're starting to get a few back. Let's keep the ones that we got.
Indeed. Well said. So on to the Dragons. Some good stuff to cling on to, Sean, not least the performance of Jack Dixon, who seems right back in form defensively in attack. Brilliant finish for his try, and the initiative of some of the players involved in the build-up to that impressed you, I know.
Look, and the coaching team are experienced. Kingsley knows the game inside out. You've got Sean Connor there. They will be doing all they can. It's just a little bit of quality at either end of the field, and it's typified in the kicking game, which was indifferent on the night. You know, here's an example from Pretorius. It's what they call an exit strategy. This needs to hit grass very, very long or be contestable. And now you're kicking to one of the best wingers in the league at the moment. Tommy Seymour is on fire. And now from the kick chase, the Dragons are going to be a little bit short in numbers, tight. And you can see at the top of the screen, you know, there's options for Glasgow, a good attack inside to go wide. So that's a bit of the nuts and bolts that can improve. Whereas when they're smart about it, and here's Pretorius again, he brings the winger up because he has a little run and puts the kick into that space highlighted now. Now it's a different sort of exit plan. This is now contestable. You can have a good kick chase off the back of this and harry and harass the Glasgow counter-attack. You know, here's Dixon that you spoke about, and also in broken play, it allows you to get the ball in the hands of your more dangerous player. That's an unbelievable offload from Hallam Amos. He gets back in the game, Dixon, and backs himself to score. So I think in broken play, good kicking game, you can get the likes of Hallam Amos, the better players, on the ball, and you know they're the positive elements from the game.
Yeah, it was a sensational.
It's hard. It must be so frustrating going into every debrief for them because they've got some real talent there.
That'll be their debrief. You know, the coaches will know, and it's just trying to execute those key moments and keep working hard. I know it's, but they'll get those 50-50 somewhere along the line, and the confidence will shift.
That's an automatic blood and thunder Welsh derby. We're all very much looking forward to it. It's going to be on Scrum V Live at 7:30. And Sean, I imagine you're looking forward to it as well.
I used to love the Ospreys Blues derbies. They were always, you know, really tight, close games. And there was the odd yellow and red card in them as well. Martyn would know all about Ospreys Blues derby matches. And the contentious area is usually around the back row. It's always a real contested area. And in the Blues, they have a real combative back row now. The likelihood is that with Sam Warburton possibly out, then Navidi will play at 6. Ellis Jenkins has been selected at 7 already in that position. And in Nick Williams, they already have the talismanic signing of the season. But in the half-backs, I think there's a lot of confidence at the moment. Lloyd Williams playing really well, challenging at the fringes and really causing defences problems. Anscombe is on fire at the moment, showing pace and confidence. And I think these two may have an international selection point to prove, Ross.
Absolutely, really looking forward. And talking of puffing their chests out, Alan Wynne-Jones and probably Bradley Davis in that second row, Sean, they'll fancy their chances in the physical stakes, won't they?
Well, the boiler house is always important for the Ospreys. Alan Wynne, of course. Will Bradley Davis play against his old club? But in the Ospreys back row, that's pretty industrious too. Underrated James King at 6. Who will play at 8? Will it be Dan Baker or Tyler Ardron, the Canadian? But the man of the moment who really has to perform to get into the Blues for me is Justin Tipuric. He will need to play well if they're to get something out of this game. And will the real Wales halfbacks please step up, please? Rhys Webb and Dan Baker. They've been rusty so far. They've had a long pre-season and only now are they coming back into it. But as Martyn rightly says, if these two step up and perform, and the big players do in the big games, they will have a massive say in the outcome of this Ospreys Blues derby.
If it is Bradley, who's going to win?
I think in the derby matches, as I said, they're really tight. You get a slight home advantage, obviously. You know, you're more familiar. But you've got a team talk as the away team, you know, and they're quite bullish at the moment, Danny and Matt and the Blues. You could see that against Leinster. It was the biggest game of them for the season. This now becomes the biggest game of the season. And, you know, there'll be tight calls. The ref will be important. But I think selection's going to be important. And it's a big test for Steve. I think if they get it right, the Ospreys, they're very difficult to break down at home. And what they will be good at is snuffing out that counter-attack that we showed earlier from the Blues that is so good at the moment. So I don't know, thrills and spells.
Interesting stuff.